With large Excel worksheets, we can quickly lose track of our column headings and row labels as we move around the worksheet. The solution is freeze panes. Hi, I'm Dawn with K-Squared Technologies. In this tech tip, we'll look at how to more easily work with your Excel worksheets by applying freeze panes. We'll also look at the differences between freeze panes and print titles. One of the challenges of larger worksheets is that as you start moving around a worksheet, for instance, if I move to the bottom, I lose track of the column headings or the row labels. And by the way, this is all pretend information. So let's look at how freeze panes can make it much easier for you to keep that information on the screen as an easy reference. We find this under View. And here is freeze panes. Now, one solution for a worksheet like this is that I could simply say freeze top row. But for freeze top row, now as I move down, you can see that the rows are changing, but that top row is frozen or locked on the screen. However, I still have a problem because as I move to the right, I no longer am seeing some of the identifying information for these individuals. To turn off freeze panes, repeat, View, freeze panes, and here I could unfreeze. So you can see that I could also freeze the first column. Well, let's get a little bit more specific. What I'd really like to do is have these first 3 columns visible on the screen. And I want this top row to be visible. So if you need to, orient your worksheet so that this information is visible. Next, I'll move to the first moving cell. That is, the way to look at this is to say everything to the left of this location and above is going to be frozen or locked on the screen. You'll still have access to the data and you can edit it, but you're keeping it frozen or locked on the screen. So the key is how you're positioned. After that, it's very easy. We return back to View, freeze panes, and choose freeze panes. Now as I move down, I'll move to the bottom of this column, I can still see that column heading. And as I move to the right, I still see the key references here in these first 3 columns so that I know that I'm looking at the right information. Now when I press Control Home, rather than taking me to the first cell of the worksheet, it takes me to the first movable cell within the worksheet. And that's how you create freeze panes. At any time, you can return to freeze panes and unfreeze. It's helpful to know that freeze panes is for the display of your worksheet. If you want to duplicate this layout for printing, that's print titles, and they don't talk to each other. So let's look at this from a printing perspective. I'll move into print, and you can see with this, as I currently navigate through this worksheet, I've lost the column headings and my row labels. So how do we create print titles? We find that under Page Layout, and here is Print Titles. Now I don't have to repeat the same rows and columns as I use for freeze panes because they're not connected to each other. In this case, however, I will click into, in the Sheet tab here, Rows to repeat at top, and I'll click into Row 1. You'll see that Excel will automatically populate that with this reference. Columns to repeat at left, and I don't have to do the columns, but in this case I'll highlight from A to C. So these are my print titles, what I want to repeat on every page, whether I'm printing to a physical printer or perhaps to a PDF. Let's go ahead and look at the print preview. Page 1 looks the same, but now here's page 2. The column labels are visible. And as I continue, I now have that reference to the first 3 columns so that I know that I am accurately looking at the right row of information. Try freeze panes to lock in the display and print titles when you want to repeat the rows and or the columns for printing. In this case, Square Tech Tip, you've seen how to save time and effort in Excel by applying freeze paints and working with print titles. How can we help you to be more productive? Please reach out to us for IT services and consulting to support you with Microsoft technologies. We look forward to working with you. Thanks for watching.